For centuries, the Vatican has been shrouded in secrecy, with whispers of hidden treasures, conspiracies, and scandals lurking behind its grand walls. These are age-long and well-kept secrets that will shake the very foundations of the Catholic Church itself. But what exactly are these secrets that the Vatican is so desperate to keep hidden from the world? Well, get ready to have your mind blown as we uncover the truth behind the Church's darkest secrets and which the Vatican does not want you to know about. Over time, more and more closely guarded Vatican secrets have been making their way to the public domain. One of such recently uncovered secrets is discovering the existence of hidden deuterocanonical books of the Bible, also known as Apocrypha books. If you've never heard of these 14 banned books of the Catholic Old Testament, then you might want to hold on to your seats for this one. These books are said to be a collection of ancient writings that talk about the religious beliefs and practices of the early Christian era. Some of the most popular Apocrypha books include the Book of Tobit, the Book of Judith, and the Wisdom of Solomon. Like any other book of the Bible, these Apocrypha books are described as largely containing prophecies and moral and spiritual guidance. But if that's the case, then why did the Vatican choose to expunge these 14 books from the Bible and keep their content so keenly hidden away from the public? Well, according to some theories, the content of these books was far from being redundant, as the Vatican has often claimed. Rather, they contain numerous verses that could undermine the powers of credibility of the Church. And speaking of things that could undermine the Church's power, what if we told you there might have been a female pope some centuries ago? We all know that the papacy is an office that is completely patriarchal. In fact, the legend of the female pope, also called the legend of Pope Joan, is heavily dismissed as fictional. But what if it were true? Well, it actually happened that in the 9th century AD, a woman disguised herself as a man and rose to the ranks of the Catholic Church before ultimately becoming the Pope herself. Pope Joan was said to have become an example for women, ushering in a new age where women could hold positions of power in the Vatican and in Rome as a whole. But she was eventually made out after she was put to bed during a procession before mysteriously dying soon after. The place where she had her child was made a forbidden area, and every record of her rule was erased to be treated as though she never existed. And if a female pope sounds shocking to you, here's something even more mind-gripping. The Vatican apparently also deals in a lot of things that shouldn't exist. The idea of the Vatican being involved with extraterrestrial life is fun and thought-provoking. And while it might seem far-fetched, there are a lot of narratives that suggest that different civilizations in the past had contacted extraterrestrial beings. Or should we say aliens? These aliens were said to have appeared before certain nations throughout history and advanced their civilizations beyond imagination, and the people worshipped them as if they were gods. When you look at it this way, it does sound reasonable that the Vatican might have made contact with aliens but chose to keep it a secret to divert our attention from reality. We might have had a bishop or two who are actually aliens, or at least extraterrestrials in human bodies. But could these extraterrestrials have unleashed legions of demons on the Vatican, forcing the Church to take to the strange practice of exorcisms? It appears that the Vatican is still overrun by demons from the Dark Ages, many of whom have taken on human form and continue to make it possible for the Vatican to abandon the practice of exorcism. In fact, in 2010, Reverend Gabriel Amorth, who was 85 years old at the time, defended his work as the chief exorcist of the Vatican City. Father Amorth operated for 25 years as an exorcist and treated over 70,000 cases of demonic attacks. Think about it, 70,000 cases in 25 years. In an interview with the Italian newspaper La Repubblica, Father Amorth admitted that he believed that the devil is a pure and invincible spirit of evil. He also narrated an attack on Pope John Paul II by the devil himself. The story might sound fabricated, but could the Vatican really approve of many exorcisms within such a time span? Well, if you subscribe to Magma Storm and hit the notification bell right away, you might find the answer in our next video. Maybe this is another case of something spiritual whispering to the physical realm. However, there were certainly no exorcisms needed. The secrets of Fatima were revelations revealed to 3 shepherd sisters in Portugal. The sisters were said to have been visited by the Virgin Mary 6 times in the year 1917. For a few years, the sisters were quiet about what was revealed to them by the Virgin Mary. However, one of them, Lucia dos Santos, revealed 2 of these secrets at the Pope's request. Some interpretations suggest that the visions were a warning of the end of the First World War and the development of nuclear weapons. while the third vision remains a mystery to this day. Some rumors say that Lucia wrote down these revelations and gave her inscription to the Pope. But like every other Vatican secret, this has likewise been buried under the carpet. The Church has been a significant presence in Rwanda since the 19th century, with over 60% of the Rwandan population being Catholic at the time of the genocide. The Church's role in the genocide might be complicated or controversial. On one hand, there were priests and nuns who protected the Tutsis and even helped them escape at their own expense. On the other hand, there were Catholic priests who directly incited violence and encouraged the killing of innocent Tutsis. However, one thing was certain, and that's the fact that the Catholic Church had historical ties to the Hutu-dominated government. Most of the political and military leaders attended Catholic-run schools that played a key role in supporting the genocide. At the end of it all, the Vatican issued apologies on behalf of the priests who incited the death of about 800,000 people. But there was hardly any justice, nor was anyone held accountable. Does this come as a surprise to you? Well, it shouldn't. Priests get away with a lot of heinous crimes. Another good example is, many of you probably already know of reports of child abuse by Catholic clergymen, especially from young boys. Few of these cases get reported, while most perpetrators go free. However, in recent times, these cases have been gaining widespread attention and condemnation. It started to gain public attention in the 1980s when high-profile cases were reported in the US. One of the most heinous cases was that of Father Gilbert Goff, a Louisiana priest who was accused of sexually assaulting dozens of children over several years. This caused public outrage and calls for a reform of the Catholic Church. Despite the calls, however, only a few things changed, and many of the accused clergymen were often transferred to different locations instead of being called to justice. The Church may be well known for not calling its ranking members to justice. Still, rumors have it that depending on the gravity of the sin committed, the Vatican has a special court to bring high-ranking members to trial without tarnishing the image of the Church. This court was founded in 1179 by Pope Alexander III, and it remained a well-kept secret until 2009. It consists of an elite set of bishops called the Apostolic Penitentiary, whose duty is to hear cases so horrible that only the Pope can pardon. Now, we've made mention of priests getting away with genocide and child abuse, so we're sure you must be wondering how atrocious of a crime you have to commit before being called before the tribunal. Come up with whatever atrocities you think of and leave them in the comments below. We'll be on the lookout. Still on the top of atrocities to have been tried, one of the most bizarre things to happen under the nose of the Vatican is the trial of Pope Formosus. It was a trial like no other, as the accused was dead and buried, for 7 whole months. The trial took place in 897 in the Basilica of St. John in Rome and was initiated by none other than Pope Stephen VI, who had a bone to pick with the deceased Pope Formosus. Pope Stephen accused Formosus of several crimes, including perjury and coveting the papacy. The trial took a more bizarre turn when Pope Stephen ordered that Formosus's corpse be dressed in his papal vestments and seated on the throne while he acted as the prosecutor, and asked the corpse why it dared to take the papacy from its rightful owners. In the end, Pope Stephen declared Formosus guilty, tore off his vestments, and dragged his body through the streets of Rome before throwing it into the Tiber River. It was one of the most grotesque things to ever happen in the Vatican, and it remains a cautionary tale to this day about the consequences of the transgression of power. This might also be another ordinary tale until it's proven to be true. However, rumors exist that there is a lost gospel with written evidence that Jesus married Mary Magdalene and had children with her. But that's not all. This evidence also points out that Mary Magdalene was the daughter of God, meaning she was just as important as Jesus. The evidence comes in the form of a manuscript written in the 6th century, which talks about the life of Jesus Christ in his adulthood, which is not exactly included in the Bible. Some say the Vatican is hiding this information to make sure that its own narrative stays relevant, just as it did with this next point we're about to unravel. The Church has many narratives twisted to fit its agenda, one of which is the date of the birth of Jesus. There's no valid evidence that Jesus was born on the 25th of December. In fact, the Bible only speaks of the events around his birth and not the date itself. There are rumors that the Church picked the date to stop Roman festivals like Saturnalia and the winter solstice, but the real truth has been buried throughout time. Which of these secrets did you find the most intriguing? Do let us know in the comments below. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Magma Storm. And you absolutely want to check out our next video.